Hello everyone, welcome to Insight. I'm Nnamdi.
And I'm Elizabeth Omori. Thank you so much for joining us.
Very well. I mean, I have taken some time out to think about our development challenges as a nation and as a community, and how it affects us as Nigerians. And of course, I do know this for a fact, that it is government's primary responsibility to cater for the needs, of the people, for their security and general well-being. But I do also know that as a civic responsibility, we as citizens also have roles to play. And so on this episode, I intend to throw up a conversation on volunteerism and how it would help to close certain or some development challenges. Elizabeth is here, of course. Elizabeth?
Well, currently Puerto Rico and France are battling irregular migration, and on demand we will be recalling a conversation on the issue. It is a global issue, but we will recall it. It is very, very expository.
Indeed, it is also an issue that affects us as a country here in Nigeria. But then let's get started. And our first conversation, like I said, what will be on volunteerism, civic responsibility and national development in Nigeria. This is Insight. I'm fascinated with the discourse on national monuments and assets and how much is being done to preserve and
look into the language issue. We have turned English to become like a pride value in our own cultural values.
National cash transfer is not a COVID-19.
Invasion 1897 was a deliberate
many of these people coming to the urban areas now.
These and applications, there are terms and conditions that
of course it is the union of two people, a man and a woman coming together.
My name is Nnamdi.
And I'm Elizabeth Omori.
Our conversation would revolve around volunteerism, civic responsibility and national development for start. We know that volunteering is a form of civic responsibility which involves the giving of time or labor without the expectation of monetary compensation. If you volunteer in church or perhaps in the mosque, for instance, you get a sense of what it means to deliver some form of services without recourse to monetary compensations. How can such services translate to voluntary civic duty and responsibilities that make an individual not just a good citizen, but also help to close development gaps? My guest probably understands that more than some of us, a good number of us, I should say, haven't been involved in volunteering professionally for some considerable years. He is Jide Bello, or should I say Lion Jide Bello. He is District Governor of District 404A2, Nigeria, of course, of the Lions Club. Is that how it's pronounced? District 404A2. Did I get that right?
Yeah, you're right.
Welcome to Insight.
Thank you.
At this point, I should let the viewer understand that I'm taking advantage of my guest's experience with volunteering as a long-time member of the Lions Club to rationalize this issue and how well volunteerism can aid national development. So, within the context of life in Nigeria, and knowing what we know about the daily struggles, that people face, how easy or difficult is it for an individual to become an active participant in the public life of a community in such a manner that we could typically describe as being informed, committed, and constructive, of course, with focus on the common good?
Thank you very much. Volunteerism generally has to do with service to humanity. We know it's not easy to serve humanity. It's not even easy to serve ourselves, considering the situation we find ourselves in this country. But if you are endowed, if you are given the right mind to serve, even if you have little change, you wouldn't mind to give it out.
A little change?
Yes. No matter what you have, if you can give out of what you have, you actually serve humanity. That's volunteerism. Now, in Nigeria, we have a lot of people that have the mind of service. We have a lot of people that are really willing to serve. But the major challenge you're having is this. First, trust. You need to look at, I'm giving my money to these people. are they actually trustworthy? Let me give you a small example.
Please do.
You go on the street, see some people begging. You have the mind of serving, but you have a second thought. This person that is begging, is it that he cannot even fend for himself? No. But out of the fact that you have the mind of service, you just want to say, okay, let me give my token to this person. Let me just play my part and allow this to go. Now, that is why we said we have associations, a lot of them, that are actually serve humanity. They are volunteering the little resources they have to ensure that they assist the government, assist individuals, assist organizations to see how we can improve, our situation in this country. Lions Club is one of them. We have a lot of them like that. Now, as a particular man, the man is 3 years old now, named Akintola Williams. He brought Lionism to Nigeria. Why did he bring it to Nigeria? He believes he alone cannot do it. But by the time you bring this from individuals, put it together, you are going to achieve a lot.
Of course, you've referenced a couple of groups here, and you've said it's not just one, but several of them, and you've referenced Chief Akintola Williams. I mean, knowing your background and the work you do with the Lions Club, I mean, makes you, of course, an expert of some sort, on this issue and so on. In terms of deployment of some of what we've seen on ground, would you say these groups, what they are doing is making some sort of impact, and volunteerism is actually working in Nigeria? Especially as a strategy for community development.
It's actually working. Let me tell you what we do in Lions Club. Before you can actually say you want to assist a particular community, you go there and carry out what is called need assessment. Do they actually need this? If they need this, then okay, let's see how we can bring resources together and assist them. A lot of them like that. Especially during this Boko Haram issue, a lot of ID cards just came up from nowhere. We have to actually go there. Government is playing their part, but government cannot actually satisfy the people over there. Okay, what can we do to assist the government? We go to IDP camps, we prepare food items, we get clothing, we get a lot of things for them to ensure that we assist the government. Where do we get this fund? It's from our individual contributions. Apart from that, we have structures that we have erected in so many places in Nigeria in the course of assisting the government and assisting ourselves and assisting our communities. Like I, as a district governor, I have a project at hand now. I look at it, this is Abuja. We have a lot of eye hospital here. We have a lot of private hospitals too. But I said, okay, let me look at my community, my neighboring states, and see what is their need. What do they need in these states?
So being generic now, and not just limiting it to one group or your group, I mean, you give a sense that interventions by voluntary groups or aid agencies are demand-driven.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
So you identify this gap.
Yes.
I mean, and based on the demands of these communities, you tailor your interventions to suit and meet this gap.
You are right. That's what we do.
So is volunteerism applicable to every aspect of our national life? So much that, okay, let me pin you to something theoretical yet that you can translate, utilizing volunteerism. Let's use volunteerism as a way to treat youth unemployment, for instance. Is it possible to deploy volunteers or volunteerism as a priority platform to help equip, volunteers, or help equip people with skills necessary to help them find jobs or gainful enterprises?
Okay, let me give you a good example. I will be making reference to my association because that is basically what we do there. There will be at a point we look at people in the society, graduates, youth, and the rest of them that are jobless. You mustn't sit down and look for government work. What we do is we bring it together. We partner with some entrepreneurial outfit. We say, okay, how can you train these people? Train them so they can have something to be doing. After training them, we empower them. I can tell you by next week, all our activities will be full of empowerment. We try to empower them, train people how to bake, how to tailoring, And just after the training, you buy the equipment for them. They start living their life, depending when they will get job. Because
the core message essentially is what?
Is to empower people.
The core message, I would think, is that is sending a message telling these unemployed youth that look, there are opportunities beyond blue collar jobs.
Yes. Okay. Let me say this. I understand what you're trying to say. Now, the opportunity, the message is this: you don't really need to wait for government job before you can actually make a living for yourself. I can use myself as an example. I was waiting for government job. At the point I realized that do I continue to wait for a government job? Let me find myself to be doing something. That is where the mind of service actually came into me, because I saw the way my background was so bad, and I couldn't get any help. I realized that okay, if my background could be this, and I'm at this stage now, what can I do to even assist people? I have a son now. He's into designing. He's a graduate. I said, you should not wait for a government job. Go and learn handwork. If you learn handwork in the process, if you get government job, fine. If you don't get, what you are even getting from that your handwork can even sustain you, rather than waiting for government job to come from nowhere. People doesn't want to retire. Directors that have been there for so many years is due for retirement. Doesn't want to go. Do you want to kill him to push him out? No. So please think as our advice the youth.
Yeah.
Think outside the box. Don't wait for I'm an engineer, I studied mechanical engineering, I studied accounting. Look for something to be doing pending when this government will come. And I can assure you, if you are committed to what you are doing, committed to that handwork you are doing, I bet you might not need anything from any government again. In my community, I am a chief in my community as Ashiwaju of the youth. I approach the community. I say, all these youths you see around, please gather them together. Let's train them. Let's engage them. Engage their mind, so that they will run away from, committing, crimes and sort of them. Engage. Let's have them. We train them. After training them, if it's bike you can ride, we give you a bike. Yeah, we have empowered you. If it's for organizing you can do, we train you how to organize. Yeah. We buy equipment for you, you move on.
It's quite interesting that you're raising these points, and I know that as a country we face a myriad of development challenges. Poverty, HIV, AIDS, fragile local economies. You've referenced local communities here and social systems generally. Let's not forget environmental degradation. There's also the issue of peace and security. Issues that we have in the country. These challenges are further exacerbated by deplorable service provision and the lack of economic resources. So I know that your club, and let me even now pin you down to Lions Club, and I know that both internationally and nationally, that's locally here, you have interventions targeting some of these challenges. But I'm not saying blow your trumpet here. You've attempted to do that earlier, but I'll put a hold on that for now. But I'd like for you to rather draw the correlation and synergy between volunteerism and the private sector participation in closing development gaps in Nigeria.
That is what is called social corporate responsibility for private outfit, private firms. So when we look at that at times, if we cannot actually afford to take care of the needs of a particular community, we invite these private firms. Even when it comes to training, I wouldn't stop talking about my club. We have the youth aspect of Lions Club, which is called Leo. Those ones, right from their university days, we try to see how we can empower them. And how do we do it? We partner with private firms.
Is that like a mentorship? Is that like a mentorship program in place if you're catching them young,
yes,
maybe in their university days, so that they translate into the much larger society? They're already imbibing.
Sure, that is it. So that even when you finish your program at the university, you don't even, before you even finish, you can even be sustaining yourself with what you have been trained to do. You can see some university students right from when they were in school, they start baking cakes, doing this, doing that, just to even meet their needs. So by the time they finish, there will not be need for them to sit down and be waiting. You might be looking for the job, but what I'm talking about is the private firm.
Yes,
is this
the synergy?
Yes, the synergy is this. Some of these private firms, through what is called CSR, they carry out this kind of responsibility too.
A CSR meaning
corporate social responsibility.
Okay, great, fantastic.
So they must play their own role. It's even mandatory. So at times when we write them for partnership, they will put it under CSR to assist us to empower and train people.
But are we getting enough of the private sector, stepping in to take a responsibility for closing some of these gaps?
Well, I can't say we are getting enough. But at the same time, we need to consider the economic situation of the country. Times are not so funny, So when you approach some of them, like during my presentation, I approached some of them. I mean, some responded, some couldn't respond. And I understand with them. they have their own challenges too. But some are actually, which I wouldn't want to mention names, Few of them actually came on board and said, okay, we're ready to partner with you, through CSR, assist, whatever you want to do, training, empowerment, carry out some projects, and the rest of them. We have by 1st of September,
yes,
we have Pediatric Cancer Day. And we can't do this alone too. It's an awareness.
So maybe you come and pay us so that we'll help you advertise that one when the time is right and ripe. But then, we're talking about this whole concept of volunteerism and the culture in Nigeria, whether it's entrenched and all of that. I would like to ask you a personal question.
Okay.
Has your work as a volunteer helped boost your self-confidence and giving you a natural sense of accomplishment? And does it feel different when and if an individual volunteers actively in a community project, purely for the sheer fact that that individual has plenty of time on his or her hand? Or hands?
Let me tell you the truth. This thing is from the heart, it's from your mind. If you are committed to serve, nobody can stop you. At times when you finish serving, you'll be relieved. If you don't have any money in your pocket, at least you know you have been able to touch lives. You have impacted lives. I took a project somewhere and they were reluctant. I kept pushing. At the point I sat down and said, come, what do I intend to gain from giving these people this project?
So what do you gain?
Peace of mind. Satisfaction. If I'm able to serve, I'll be satisfied that at least this person is smiling because of me. Because if I don't do it, another person that is not up to me might come up and do it, and it will be a shame on me.
So that's for you personally.
Yes.
For an organization, quick one. I know that civic responsibility is tied to philanthropic sector in many ways.
Yes.
Do citizens, we've talked about citizens, so maybe we should talk about corporate or non-profit organizations. Do they prosper from their giving of time and money, and do they prosper substantially? If you personally get peace of mind, corporate organizations, what do they get when you approach them to partner with you? Yes.
They are being compelled to do it by this CSR. But at the same time, some individual, a corporate organization, you have a head, you have a management team. Depends on what you push to your team. Push it to them, and they see reason in it. And they say, fine, we have enough fund. Let's go ahead and do it. But let me say the truth, please. Okay. Some organizations, when you approach them for partnership, they will tend to look at, what do I gain from partnering with you?
Because every business is there to make money.
You understand? What do I gain from partnering with you? Except you are able to convince them what they can gain. They will be reluctant in coming up to partner with you. But the government came up with this CSR, corporate responsibility. You must, to an extent, assist the government
That's good to know.
Carrying out their own responsibility.
Finally, and on a lighter note, I would like your take on an issue that I think I may have an idea of what the answer is likely, to be. Is there a gender gap in volunteerism in Nigeria? Which gender is more involved, and what age bracket do they fall into?
Well, when it comes to service, there is no limit to your age.
I know, but looking at the trend, I mean, looking at it, men, women, which, no, but it's seriously, I mean.
Well, to be sincere with you,
you're the one in the
that's my
field.
own
personal
belief, that's my perception. The women are more committed to service.
I said it. I knew it.
Than men. I'm just being my own assessment.
Is it perhaps because of their nature?
Well,
women are more amenable to,
yes, because
they are
mothers. They have children. They tender and care for their children, and they believe they should be able to do that. Men, we are always on the road.
Hustling,
time. At times, when
doing admin, when
we want to carry out projects in our club, you see more of women. Men, they only just drop the cash and move. But the women will be there to ensure that this cash actually gets to where it's supposed to get to.
But speaking honestly, it doesn't really matter which gender, is more out there in the field.
It doesn't matter. But what matters is to serve.
Yes. That's the message, to serve. I mean, volunteerism is a civic responsibility that we should all embrace. I mean, there are gaps here and there. Government can definitely not do everything. We need to step up and help close some of these gaps. Jide Bello, I should say, District Governor of District 40482, Nigeria. I'd like to thank you so much for coming on Insight. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
God bless you. Thank you very much. Have a beautiful day.
Up next is Elizabeth Omori for the rest of the program.
Globally, irregular migration has reached crisis proportions in fragile states. Limited economic opportunities have led to an increase in the number of irregular migrants seeking to make the dangerous journey. Young Nigerians make up the largest population of the growing flow of migrants from Africa to developed countries through the Mediterranean Sea, and oftentimes do not make it to their destinations. How do we stop this movement? Let's recall this interview with a migrant expert. Irregular migration poses multiple challenges to countries of origin, transit and destination, as well as to migrants themselves. Migrants in irregular situation are particularly vulnerable to discrimination, exploitation and abuse. Such migrants are also in danger of being exploited by crime organizations involved in human trafficking and migrant smuggling crimes that constitute a serious violation of human rights. Refugees and asylum seekers, despite the protection granted by international law, also face many difficulties in the migratory process. How do we curb this global trend of movement? Head Technology Transfer and Innovation, Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NITCOM, Abdurrahman Terab, will talk to us on the issue. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on Insight.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Irregular migration is a global issue. How has Nigeria been tackling this problem head on?
Well, I think the most important thing here is that it's a global phenomenon. And of course, Nigeria also has its own issues with regards to irregular migration. First and foremost, we need to understand the push and the pull method. I mean, issues that actually kind of aid migration irregularly, and at the same time supports it at the points of destination. Okay. So Nigeria has undertaken various policies. First and foremost, it has actually one of the major policies is the implementation, or rather the establishment of NAPTIP. Is a key policy issue that Nigeria has undertaken. But beyond that, there are a lot of MOUs, collaborations that are taking place between host countries or destination countries, okay, and of course transit countries as well. But of course, like we said, one of the major issues is even where you control the push issue or the push factor, you also have to look at the pull factor. These are two major issues, because the encouragement to leave where you are and the encouragement to get to your destination country are the two major factors that will definitely require to be managed more properly. Of course, some of the MOUs with some of our foreign partners ensure that some of these issues are mitigated. But of course, it's going to take a while. But ours, I think, from the point of view of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, is to intensify managed labor migration. That is, formalize it. Try as much as possible to establish legal corridors, formal corridors, in such a way that it will be easier for people who actually want to work in other climes to be able to do so officially, formally, and that way we believe the benefit is going to be on all sides. Specifically, the host country officially will gain the benefit, and then of course Nigeria also, as the country of the citizen, will also gain the benefit as well as the citizen. So, and we have seen that taking place in many other countries around the world, and I believe that there is the need for Nigeria to intensify that effort in order to ensure that we have more legal and credible pathways that will ensure safe and legal migration from Nigeria to other parts of the world.
Wouldn't that be encouraging brain drain?
The issue is you have to come to terms with realities.
Okay.
Demographic statistics are showing us that Nigeria by 2050 will be around 400 million in population, and of course, then you now need to put that side by side with the population of some of the developed countries. And it's not just the population, it's the working population of some of the developed countries. You have these 400 million people. Realistically, you should know that government alone cannot be able to provide for these 400 million people. You have to create more legal ways of employment. One of them, of course, industrialization, getting the agricultural policy much more intensified. But then again, also, you should be able to create a population that has the capacity to be able to work in every other climate in the world. That is the essence of globalization. We have to take the advantage of that. Other countries are already taking advantage of that. So there is no reason why Nigeria should be left behind. And as a matter of fact, we are celebrating our remittances from the diaspora. Why do we celebrate it? Because we know that it contributes to the economy of the country. And there is the need for us to now formalize that, make it legal, expand the net. We are very sure that once that is done, the 25 billion, 30 billion that we are celebrating today will actually get into $200 billion in time to come. We are already getting brain circulation. Those who have left during the initial brain drain era are now coming back. A lot of hospitals, a lot of industries are now being developed by the diaspora who have left initially, but are now coming back to establish these ventures in the country and also providing services also. So we are getting a situation where they left only with the brain, but they are now coming with techniques, with experience, far better than the brain that they left with. And I think we may have been skeptical at the very beginning, thinking that, oh, it's gone and it will never come back. Now that we are seeing the fruits of some of these issues that bedeviled us in the past, there is no reason for us to attach complete negativity to it. There are a lot of positive issues about that. But the most important thing, that is the reason why we are advocating that the country and the government should lead. You shouldn't allow people on their own to feel they just have to go. If you create legal and systematic pathways for them to live, then of course, you see, most importantly, you can embed patriotism into the process. So those who are migrating will still have the country at heart, will still have that sense of belonging. Second of all, and most importantly, you can also ensure that the right things are done, because in all cases, both governments are involved. And so in such cases, you will be able to manage the outcome, or rather the negative tendencies that may occur in such situations. But most importantly, you can manage the recycling nature, or rather the return of these same talents with the necessary attachments that it has to bring back to the country. So that is the essence of the country being in the lead. It needs to lead, it needs to show leadership, and it must take control. Because if you allow it without control, that's the reason why we are now finding ourselves in issues of illegal migration left, right, and center.
Okay, looks like it's an age-long, of course, it's an age-long problem. What exactly are we not doing?
I think...
of course, people would move.
You know, the most important thing here is that let's also understand a particular context, that migration is a human right.
Okay.
So long as it is done legally. So creating legal pathways is very, very essential. It's all about planning. Probably we've not planned well enough. And even where we have developed some policies, maybe we've not actually ensured their implementations to the letter. We have the National Migration Policy 2015 document. I think a lot still needs to be done, even in the implementation. And then also in kind of onboarding more stakeholders. It was done in 2015. At that time, the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission was not established, of course, but the parent ministry has been there. So, but now there is the need to further expand these stakeholder forums in order to ensure that all those who play roles across the path from Nigeria down to the destination countries and back are involved. But beyond that, MDAs also need to take responsibility and ensure the implementation of the national migration policy. But there is, personally, from my own understanding, there is an attitude perspective to it. The concept of diaspora got to this level after a very long while compared to many other countries. We need, as a country, to reorient ourselves and change that perspective, the negative perspective we have towards those living or those in the diaspora. Prior to this diaspora stage now that the country is coming to terms with, which is a reality, there is that negative perception of what the diaspora is in so many climes. And I can tell you that till this moment is still a Herculean task, even for the Commission, to get that message across most Nigerians and even our colleagues in sister agencies. So the most important thing is for the country to understand that migration, so long as it's legal, there is nothing wrong with it. That perception needs to change. And that's what I think we've not been doing right in the past. Then the second thing and the most important thing is that everybody, whenever you talk about migrants from Nigeria or diaspora, people only look at the negative aspects of it.
Okay.
While in the Diaspora Commission, we are trying to we have been advocating that for every one negative incident, we have 1,000 successful cases to portray Nigeria in a positive light. And we believe that is the area that the government as a whole, and of course, I will also implore the fourth realm of the estate to also take that along to create that awareness, to let it sink, let it get deep, that there is a positive element in migration. Then the next and most important thing is that we have to again look at migration as an economic factor. I think that's also an area that we've not done very well. Every time we talk of migration, we look at it from a social perspective. It is not just about relations or people, you know, or somebody that did something over there. So you see, our narrative has always been on the social aspect of it. We need to look at the economics of it. We need to be able to collaborate with all countries of the world, especially developing countries of the world. A lot of services that Nigerians can be able to provide at all levels. And these services that Nigerians will be able to provide in other climes is going to draw in a lot of foreign exchange into the country. Currently, despite what is happening, people need to appreciate that our balance of payment is in part being stabilized due to the remittances that we are receiving into the country. And if that is not there, you will not like where the current value of the naira would be. Because that 20 or $25 billion that is coming from the remittances, it comes in most cases as if they are transfers. And that also means as if they are buying something here in Nigeria, which means as if you're producing something to the rest of the world from Nigeria. So you see, that now kind of balances your balance of payment in the International Monetary Fund. So, but if you don't do that, if you don't now take that and then proactively intensify efforts in ensuring that that economic factor of it is further reestablished, then there is a possibility that we might lose out when other countries are gaining.
Two things. I'm very happy that NITCOM has come, which is helping to solve some of these issues. But you mentioned documentation. Information about undocumented migrants or migrants in irregular situation is often difficult to obtain or quantify. Why is this so? And what is NITCOM doing in this regard?
Well, the interesting part of it is that NITCOM by law and by policy only recognizes legal migrants.
Okay.
However, it's all about collaboration. If your citizen leaves your country without your knowledge or without due process, it is almost possible, largely possible, that the destination country has such records.
Okay.
So if you collaborate very well, if we intensify our collaboration, if we implement most of the MOUs that we are signing with our foreign partners, we will get to that point where we can be able to obtain all the necessary information about those leaving the country and residing in other destination countries. However, we also need to understand that there are challenges. A lot of challenges is in the pathway for migration itself. You might have someone living, but unfortunately we have a lot of cases where these migrants don't end up at the destination countries for so many obvious reasons. The last time we got the information that we have a lot of Nigerians stranded in Libya, at first we started with a number of about 4,000 or 5,000, and I think at the end of the day it's still 20,000 and counting, and even more. These are the stranded ones. These are, so to say, they're not very successful ones. There are a lot of ones that probably have also taken on the corridors, have gotten aside. They have not been to the destination country. They are not in a stage where they can even get that SOS. So at the end of the day, there is a lot to be done with our neighboring countries. There is a lot to be done with the destination countries. And there is a lot to be done with partner organizations, the IOM, the World Bank, the United Nations. And if we can intensify that, we can be able to get the actual documentation. But what is important? What is important is let us deliberately be proactive, create legal means where we can make it easy for those who have what it takes and those who can provide whatever kind of services that they can provide, and also ensuring that the destination countries are in need of these services. Once we can be able to establish these pathways, you will get to realize nobody would like to follow these illegal pathways again because it is easier. And the most important thing is, if in a family, because we have some cases that because this thing starts from social then to economic, some families feel somebody at least needs to go to...
Must go out.
Must go out. You understand? So if in the family, somebody studied nursing, somebody studied teaching, I mean, somebody is a teacher, somebody is an accountant. It depends on what kind of service that is available that they can be able to provide. Once that is there, so you get to see that once the process is eased, is relaxed, and you are easily allowed to follow due processes, then the government can actually have the kind of eye it wants to have the documentation it needs to document. And then most importantly, again, while having established that, is also to create very robust reintegration mechanism, such that people, while over there, they have whatever it is that is here that is supposed to take care of them, maybe as a pension fund, as some investment, in ways that they can easily be reintegrated into the society. So that at the end of the day, one, you have created an attachment for them to still have home at heart. And then most importantly again, because they know that somehow that is going to be their final destination, they will now put all efforts in place to also ensure that the country becomes better. So rather than having your citizens being critics of the country from outside all the time, they will now become collaborators. Because what we believe in, and sincerely speaking, is that the Nigeria of the future needs the diaspora, needs those people from external, with that external perspective, so that we can combine what we have internally and what they have externally to create a hybrid nation, so to say, that has all that is Nigerian and all that is external. So that is what India is doing. China has benefited a lot from that. One of the greatest beneficiaries of diaspora, as we all know, is Israel. And then, of course, even Ireland and many other countries. So I think it is a positive phenomenon, but the country needs to take the lead.
There's the issue of international migration flows, which have become increasingly mixed, whereby refugees and asylum seekers in need of international protection move alongside migrants in search of better livelihood. The mixed migration flows, I believe, is a serious issue for concerned bodies. What would be the way out of this?
The issue of asylum seeking is also about the right to life and the right to a fair life, so to say. And so in that case, even those, you can hardly differentiate in the case of Nigeria in most cases, because as people are moving away thinking of a better life, the average definition is in search of a better life. So the most important thing, as a country, that needs to one needs to do is to ensure that the legal pathways are open first for those who are going, either whose purpose is either for labor migration or for some other purposes. Some people are even just going to school, and you wonder why they should follow illegal path. It's because the legal paths, the what do you call it? The legal pathways, of course, I probably the migration people and the rest will be able to let us know, but probably a bit stringent, and the country itself needs to also take certain leads. But the most important thing here is that so long as you can establish adequate legal pathways, you can easily be able to identify those who are going out for either asylum or any problem that they have with the government. Definitely they will not follow the legal pathway. So you see, it makes it a lot easier for you to narrow your net. But if you don't do that, you always have to find yourself in the mix for certain reasons. Oh, I have friends over there, I have friends in another place.
So I'm comfortable over there.
That is
I
it.
like the scenery
this
over there.
This is it. So allow the system to be relaxed. Allow it also, not just relaxing it for the benefit of the migrant. No. What we are now saying here is that the country itself is going to benefit. But the country needs to be proactive. That is first and foremost. Then the pull factor is the extent to which we are able to implement our bilateral agreements with our partners and our foreign countries, and especially destination countries, to a larger extent. I can give you an example. I think there is a particular policy from, I think, either the EU or one of the European countries, where when they understand your need to leave the country, either for labor migration and probably something that has to do with that, they will get the job for you down to your client, specifically here in Nigeria. You do the job here, you are paid in dollars. You understand what I'm saying? Or in their foreign currency. And for those who understand it, it's even far more better because the cost of living is much cheaper here. The value of the currency you are going to receive here is much higher. You understand? And then, of course, that kind of calms the nerves for those who insisting on going there. Because, and then at the same time, there are a lot of efforts with regards to appealing to the conscience of not just the parents, but even those who are living. That, look, it's not all rosy there. If you don't get it organized from here, if you are not invited, if you are not being employed even before leaving, and of course that's the reason for your for your migration, don't even start it. Because if you go there and even if you're documented but you are not invited, you will still not get the greener pasture you're looking for. So the fact of the matter is that it's a collective thing. Parents need to understand the dangers that their children will go through. But not just that. Can we take real statistics and show how many illegal migrants, irregular migrants made it, and how many of them fell along the line? Not just getting to the destination, but after getting to the destination, how have they fared? We have a lot that don't want to come home after 20, 30 years.
Yes. Because
it's still difficult to make ends meet over there. So we are urging parents to ensure that their wards take regular pathways for migration. But what is even sometimes most worrisome is even the amount of money they pay for the irregular migration itself.
So much.
Sometimes it's much, to me, it's as expensive, if not more in some cases, than taking the regular route. So I think there is an a communication gap somehow, because you get to a situation where anything goes because you are not well informed. I think what we need to do is to also take advocacy to parents and communities to further enlighten people. And of course, I'm sure NAPTIP is doing that. Even the Diaspora Commission has taken up some few efforts in that regard. And I know some of our international partners are also doing that. But it is really, really important that we take that up. But the first way to do it, if today government says, okay, we are opening up a portal, we have 20 jobs in Netherlands for nursing, 50 jobs in UK for engineering, 100 jobs in, say, California, even for carpentry, for other skilled jobs. You will now find that, okay, let's try this, because you are easing the tension that is in the system that, okay, unless I follow an irregular path, I will not make it. The moment people see that there are initiatives like this, which of course is going to be purely in collaboration with the destination countries, now that is going to ease the system a lot, and is going to give the country the opportunity to understand how many migrants we have, why are they leaving. We don't even have the statistics the way we want to. In the Diaspora Commission, we just published about a year ago, the plus 600 diasporans. The plus 600 diaspora is a compendium of some of the best Nigerians doing very good in their various fields of service in their host countries. We started with 600. We realized that 600 is not going to be enough. Then a plus was added to the document. But the interesting part of it is that even with that document, it's just a tip of the iceberg. there are a lot that have not been captured. And sincerely speaking, out of the estimated 17 million Nigerians that we are talking about, over 16 million of them are doing excellently well in their areas of endeavor. But you also find that demographics will show that most of them took regular pathways. So the few ones that we are having problems with, you also find that there are irregular pathways, because that's the reason why somebody will feel, I don't give a damn, whatever happens.
Whatever happens.
They don't look at the consequences. So because there is no data, some unfortunately actually use other countries' passports.
Yes.
We understand. And of course, you have seen what we've just been able to do in UK and other places. It tells you that the global political environment and the global industry itself is recognizing the efforts of Nigerians. So it's left for us to package them and get them where they should be, with the aim of going there to provide their services poorly, be the best citizens, and return back home for the development of the country.
We need to encourage them. Abdurrahman Terab, Head Technology Transfer and Innovations, Nigerians in Diaspora Commission. Thank you so much for coming on Insights.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. We do appreciate.
Thank you.
Amina Mohammed, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala.
Agencies and stakeholders to proactively tackle these challenges.
Women in most countries of the world constitute about 50% of registered voters.
Williams reporting for Dateline 360.
In Jos, Caleb Gochin, Dateline 360.
Naja'atu Tijani.
Dateline 360. Chidi Okrafo.
For Dateline 360.
In Lagos, Michael Olaleye.
Reporting for Dateline 360.
I am Omotola Omojola. Thanks for tuning in to Dateline 360.
And that's it on this episode of the program. Do join us same time next week for more on Insight. My name is Namdi Odipo.
And I'm Elizabeth Omori. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.